With UCLA's latest commit, are they turning into running back U?
You are Locked On UCLA, your daily podcast on the UCLA Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to this edition of the Locked On UCLA podcast. I'm your host, Zach Anderson-Yoxsimer. Thanks for making this show your first listen each and every day. It's free wherever you get your podcast, and it's available on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe, download, review. Thanks for your support. This episode and this segment is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs, because what we're talking about today is the recruiting cycle for UCLA football, for DeShaun Foster, who is going out and getting commits. Specifically, what we're talking about today is a class of 25 commit, what is believed to be the fifth hard commit for UCLA in the class of 25 in Karson Cox, who is, depending on the ranking systems you use, whether it's On3, 24/7 Sports, they're a top. This is Karson Cox, a West Coast SoCal kid who is a top 40, 50 guy in terms of overall recruits in the state. Then you've got a number 2 running back in the state of California for what UCLA is going to get. This is a kid that had over 20 offers. I think he decided UCLA over Arizona State, Oklahoma State, and at some point from reading 24/7 Sports in the latest talk about USC was the biggest potential front runner early on in the recruiting process. So for not only someone who is getting and garnering national interest, this is somebody who UCLA is getting rushed for 1,300 yards in the fall, 19 touchdowns, and has 3 years of varsity experience with over 45 touchdowns. This is what Greg Biggins says for 24/7 Sports. One of the top running backs out west since his breakout sophomore year. A national level recruit with the talent to play just about everybody. Short area quickness with the ability to hit the hole decisively and long speed to run away from the secondary. Physical back, runs hard. And if you're wondering who would probably have a good idea as to what a good running back recruit would be, UCLA is coached by a running backs coach. Now that's a head coach. There's a former running back who's an offensive coordinator, and they have a running backs coach. I would think they have enough mind and talent to figure out if there's a running back that they want and they can outbid USC, they can outbid all these other teams. Tell them, stay home, stay in local Southern California and play for a big name university. That's a big get. Can this mean that UCLA is going to be more, excuse me, dare I say it, will the Bruins become running back U? Can they get the running backs they want, right? You got DeShaun, you got enough talent currently in this locker room for the coaching staff, for guys that they can go get. You got Karson Cox coming to UCLA, number 35 running back, top 40 in the state of California, top 45, number 2 in California as a running back. This is a good guy the Bruins are getting, and this is what Karson Cox had to say. He actually committed on Mother's Day, and it's just now public today. What's UCLA getting? The biggest pitch, quote unquote. This is what he told the recruiting outlets. This went to 24/7 Sports. The biggest pitch from the coaches was that just playing under a coaching staff that knows how to develop running backs. That is what Karson Cox said. And tell me, you have 3 coaches that know how to be running backs. Now, yes, we're going to want a roster full of developing talent, and we'll touch on the rest of that in just a moment between portal gets and who UCLA's crystal ball to get potentially. But let's think about this. Family loved to visit. They didn't expect him to visit, but they loved that he stayed home so he can attend the games because they haven't missed a single game in his career. You know how many kids in California, Southern California, on the West Coast that there are that just want to stay in SoCal and play ball? Or didn't even consider that because there needs to be more support, NIL, fan support, coaching staff love that they're going to get now. Think about that. Beyond just the fact, those are all things that Karson Cox said. Family loved it. We're expecting him to commit, but UCLA had such a good pitch to this kid as they've been doing consistently to all the recruits. So much more so than what Chip Kelly did with DeShaun Foster and company. Just that quote alone should be put on a bulletin board. It should be posted everywhere. Just love that I stayed home. You can put different quotes just from that one sentence alone as to what the recruits want to do. You go hit a Southern California kid, you don't got to go anywhere. There's a lot of SoCal kids that don't want to leave SoCal when it comes to living in their college life. Yes, there's going to be kids who want to go across the country. Cool. But there are a lot of very talented football players, basketball players, any sport you name it, that either want to come to California, LA, or just want to stay home because they're already here and there's a lot of talent to begin with. And UCLA is now tapping into that. And they could potentially be DeShaun Foster, Eric Bieniemy, for how long he stays as UCLA offensive coordinator, with their whole staff. Running back, you build the offensive line. You're going to have to be able to play some smash mouth football when you're in the Big Ten. Colder weather games, physical fronts when you're playing the Iowas, then Nebraska's potentially, Penn State on the road. Just name all the teams, let alone the Pac-12 schools that are coming along with them. You got to be able to run the ball. And who knows if he'll be the top dog when it comes to him in a year. But being able to get this kid compared to the rest of the schools in competition, maybe a rising 4-star, whether you go by composite rankings or 3-star rankings. If you want to go watch future potential Bruins, this one's a hard commit. Go check out his high school tape, his high school career, which is going to end in this next senior campaign of the 24 year, because the Bruins are starting to stack the class of 25. And they might do so even more with someone who was recently crystal balled to UCLA. If you remember the name Nico Iamaleava. I practiced this so many times and I butchered it. That is the Tennessee quarterback. But his brother, Madden, Nico Iamaleava. Boom, got it. He is somebody who has now been crystal balled to UCLA, an equally hyped recruit out of high school, because Iamaleava is someone who's from SoCal. Nico was born in Long Beach. So the Bruins are going after Madden, a 4-star quarterback. That's another 25 get. You're going to see Garbers go after this year. Hopefully Justin Martin compete. You've just got another 24 quarterback and a rising 25. The Bruins are picking the pieces they want and going after SoCal kids, whether they've lived here their whole lives or currently here, and they're finding guys that, hey, whether they're in SoCal for a little bit, they've been here, whatever it may be, they're bringing the SoCal ties to the recruiting pitch, and it's working for whether it's Jerry, all the guys posting, we're on the road, all the coaches are posting where they're going. Not that that's any different because every coaching staff does it, but UCLA is moving up in the game and starting to catch up much quicker than it would have been anticipated with a head coaching change and the state of the program where Chip Kelly left them in the dust after heading to Ohio State. So imagine they're crystal balled for a 4-star quarterback, got a practical 4-star running back, and could it get any better? Well, they're getting some depth at DB with the transfer kid from Cal in the likes of Kaylin Moore, coming from Cal, who committed just a day prior. So this one's a little older news, committed on May 13th. But so UCLA's got crystal ball for quarterback, a commits for a guy who was, I think, crystal balled after spurning USC, all these other schools that are on the West Coast, and going to UCLA and Cox, being their 5th recruit that's committed in the class of 25. And then in the class of 24, you've got somebody who's going to compete for a starting DB job. That's going to give depth to a room that is very thin beyond Devin Kirkwood and Jalen Davies. Kaylin Moore comes in, 68 career tackles between Colorado and Cal, has 1 season of eligibility, hailing from Oaks Christian, a guy that's going to come in and help build the defensive room. So again, remember that wish list DeShaun Foster listed, it went from the likes of, hey, I'm looking at getting these next guys. But in the portal, remember, the window is closed because they can't put their name in, but they can still find homes. Let's remember that. The transfer portal doesn't mean they can't get somebody spectacular, but they probably can. It's the fact that no kid can put their name into it. So the UCLA Bruins still might get a kid going that's in the portal. They can still pull them out because there's thousands of players in any sport, basically, that are in the portal lingering. So you've got Iamaleava, crystal ball, Cox, who's committed, and Kaylin Moore, who is coming and transferring over to UCLA in a position of need. See what the Bruins are doing? Immediately addressing positions of need. Quarterback, adding depth. O-line, D-line, some quality players and a guy who has played quite a bit at 2 previous Pac-12 spots in Cal and in Colorado, working his way to UCLA. Now, again, this is not going to be the vaunted 2023 defense that we had in the last season, but it's still something that's going to be rebuilt, and they're getting guys who have played before with experience of big-time ball. Remember, the Pac-12 throws the ball a lot more than the Big Ten does. So this is a guy who probably has a lot of experience facing different types of offenses, more the West Coast style, where we're throwing the ball around. When you had to face the likes of Washington and Oregon, right, where they're just throwing the ball, crazy offenses. And those guys are still coming to the Big Ten. So you get someone with experience in that type of combined things, from Colorado to Cal, now to UCLA. I'm all over the place. All over the place. But I'm excited. Think about this. All the things. UCLA, very well on the way to being running back U. 2, the Bruins finding their way in the recruiting wars when they weren't winning in years prior. Other than Dante Moore, the Bruins didn't do anything. The only thing Chip Kelly might have proved by getting Dante Moore is that if they really want a big-name recruit, they can get it. They just need to get somebody in charge who cared enough, willing enough to go do those things. And DeShaun Foster has proven that, given the energy to something that just was not there in previous years in this new day and day and age of college football, college sports recruiting as a whole, and NIL. And they're addressing what they need. 1, 2, 3. That's how we're doing on this brief show of Locked On UCLA. Excited because, once again, this show is brought to you, and this recruiting summit, by LinkedIn. LinkedIn Jobs, whether you're hiring for your small business, you're finding quality professionals that are right for hire, you're going to want to check out LinkedIn Jobs. They have the right tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. It's not just another job board. It helps you find and hire professionals you wouldn't find anywhere else. Given in a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking at LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. And remember, 86% of small businesses on LinkedIn get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. So go post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. That's going to do it for us here on Locked On UCLA today. Let's get your hands up, Bruins fans. A commitment fest for the Bruins here on this post-Mother's Day weekend. It's the early parts of May. That's when lots of recruits come in. End of April, spring game. A lot of recruits have come and visited already. So you're going to see a lot of guys possibly commit and continue to roll in about their interests, what they liked about UCLA going forward, which is why you can stick here with Locked On UCLA. Like, comment, subscribe, download. Thanks for your support. Man, there's going to be more to dissect for this UCLA team, but players are coming in, so get your hands up for an 8 clap. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. UCLA. UCLA, fight, fight, fight. This has been Locked On UCLA. Zach signing off. Go Bruins.